Hi, my name is Shannon. I represent Nouflex Corporation, and I wanted to show you some Pilates exercises today that can be done on the board and with some of the bungees and the band equipment. Um, the way that I have this set up for today, I have the band with handles at one end, I have the bar at the other, and then I also have the ankle strap attachment on the gray band for today, as well as you can see behind me, I have the Versa bands, the Nouflex bands here, which are color-coded, green being the most intense, then red, then yellow, then blue. I always check my bands or rips or tears, especially some of the lighter ones as well. So just taking you through a couple of ideas of things you might be able to use your board for Pilates exercises. Creativity is kind of the name of the game here, but just showing you a couple things that I've come up with myself personally. First and foremost, my favorite bands to use are the red bands, just because they are 20 pounds. I find that with Pilates exercises, I tend to go a little bit lighter with my weight, as most Pilates exercises done either with reformer resistance or just body weight resistance. But I also have the 30s, the heavier ones here on the end with the bar, and then I'm using one of the 25s with the ankle strap for some standing work as well. So, all right, so I put a mat, I've doubled up onto my board just to add a little extra support cushioning. That may depend on your students, whether or not they feel like they need a little extra support. I find that for some of the seated floor work, it can be a little rough, so I'm going to use a fold over mat for this case. So assuming that we had a proper warm up, some of the things I came up with were initially, how could I do the Pilates 100 using my handles? And this is something that I came up with that might work well for you, adding just a little extra intensity. Many Pilates hundreds are done either with the feet flat with that C curve, knees lifted into tabletop or legs extended out, obviously imprinting your back onto the mat. So I thought if you're extending those arms, if you wanted to add a little extra resistance, taking the cables to the top to make sure it's not cutting into your skin here, you could inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, inhale, exhale. Realizing that the further you are away from that fulcrum, the more intense this could be. So this could alleviate people with back pain that don't want to lift their legs up, or they're looking for more intensity, or if you really wanted to kick it into high gear, straight leg with those bungees. So some other things that I was thinking of that would work well for Pilates would be maybe a half teaser. So perhaps, half rolling up and down. So finding more of a fixed plane here. So not coming all the way back necessarily, but getting a little bit of resistance to begin. And then half lift, half back, half lift, half back. Similarly, maybe a half roll up, half back, half roll up, half back. So just, different ways of playing around with it. One of the other ones that I thought was kind of fun and funky, taking this handle, I'm going to place it around the arch of my left foot for a single leg circle. So you could circle that leg, adding a little extra resistance with that bungee, right? Feeling how that when you switch directions, that bungee pulls in different ways, yeah? So some fun ways. You could also work with some single leg variations, taking the leg down and up towards the ground, adding resistance where you see fit. If you are feeling so inclined, we're a little, single leg work as well, or double legs, pulling on those bands as well. So I've had a lot of fun just kind of playing around with this. Corkscrew is one of my favorites actually. So you want to make sure the handles are secure on the arches of your feet. The last thing you want to have are those bungees come back and snap at you. So pretty secure here. Heels together, Pilates being turning the toes out, supporting your back, circling right and left. And depending on which way you're going, one leg might be pulling just slightly more than the other. So some fun things to do, footwork, different variations. Really, it's quite a bit you can do just with these handles in this position alone. But I want to show a couple more pieces of equipment too, so just you had some things to play with. I like to do some of my rowing series with the bar. It just makes me feel a little more stable. And you can walk yourself back. Now, I've played around with arms straight, leaning back, rowing series, little variation. Elbows going in between my ribs, maybe rotating side to side, things along those lines. I've gotten a little bit closer in and then was working, with straight arm lifting, depending on the level of challenge you want for today. This is a hard one for my anterior deltoids. Maybe you want to flip it around for this particular exercise, but there's all kinds of things that I've kind of been considering would be fun to use this equipment for. Flipping it around, the saw. So get my backslide on this mat here. Taking my legs out to the edge of the mat, feet flexed. Maybe you add a little, don't scratch your wall, rotation side to side. Bringing that anchor point towards your foot, right? Something along that line. So see how many more I can get to here, just to give you a demonstration. All right, so that's a couple planes of motion here, using those to set you off. Bird dog variations. So this one I really like as well. You could increase the intensity, but just for time, I'm going to be using the red bands for this one. You would take the bungee cord in between the knees here. Let's say my left knee is lined up with the bungee. I will put my foot along that right handle, both hands underneath your shoulders. Your knees are lined up. And start in this position, pulling the belly firm. From here, you can extend that leg back and bring it in slowly. Exhale, inhale. If you had the space and you were able to extend the arm, add a little more balance challenge, you could. Right, some ways to play around with that one. Let's do a few more here. Taking it to the front of the board. This is a Russian twist exercise. Now for this one, for myself personally, I would go for a thicker band. You'll see why. I really have to get off to the side of the board, but you can imagine how you could make this harder. Elbows by your ribs, heels down. Begin rotation across your body. And of course, what you do to one side, you do to the other, right? Rotate, really feeling that waistline engage in one direction. Let's see, so a couple more, two more things with the bands, and then I would like to get in to some of the Versa Loop Nouflex band exercises as well. So you feel like you got a good mini category or catalog to play with here. I also like to incorporate balance work into my Pilates and hybrid Pilates classes. So for this one, some standing work. I'm going to take my mat off. Find my way back to the side of the board here with the handles. I'm going to walk forward with a little bit of tension. So my palms are facing forward. I'm going to put all my weight into my right leg, and then I'm just going to teeter-totter here, taking the left leg back, letting the bungees add a little extra resistance. Trying not to move so much the arms, that if I needed more resistance, well, you walk away from that anchor point. Yeah. That center of gravity. This is challenging in and of itself. You add the bungees to it. It really helps to engage that core and find more of a balanced component. So if you're looking for that extra challenge, and of course what you do set to one side, you do to the other. All right, last bungee one I want to show you today. As I mentioned, we have this gray band, which I have not attached yet, with our little Nouflex loop at the end of it. By the way, if you're going to change attachments on the board, I suggest stepping off first. It's easier so that it's not so rooted down to the ground. You can get those hooks up pretty easy. So I'm going to take off this one and attach this one. Now I'm going to try to really challenge my balance today without using a prop. Like you could take, since we're doing roll, you could take this bar, if you're needing a little extra stability today, and find its way into one of the groups to hold it in place. So we're doing things, legs moving, you might find you're feeling a bit more stable. I'm going to try to be tough today, guys. So I'm going to take the ankle strap around my left ankle and walk out to get a little bit of resistance. My left foot is slightly in front of my right. Now, a lot of these are kind of things you would see sideline in a Pilates class, but maybe changing up your plane of motion, similar muscle activation, finding your balance in honor of the World Cup coming up, little soccer kicks. Taking that leg across midline, try not to rotate the body, but rather exhale, inhale, keeping a little bit of tension as that fine tuning of where is just that sweet spot, the right spot, yeah? And that stabilizing leg is always working. If you wanted to get creative, you could do some arm things with some weights or some other activity. It depends on how excited your members are about trying new creative stuff. Of course, you would flip around. Don't mind my backside, please. Taking that leg out to the side with lateral work as well. You could work with slight turnouts, turn-ins, depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish. And then eventually you could move that cable to the opposite point. Repeat the whole thing on the other side. So I hope that's some fun bungee stuff you can work with here. Now, these may be repeat exercises for those watching, but I figured this kind of goes to show what you can do with all of the Nouflex equipment in a Pilates class. So some of my personal favorites are the loop, the VersaLoop crisscross, and maybe this is something you're familiar with. I like to put it on the arches of my feet. And again, checking for rips or tears, make sure it's secure on the feet itself, rolling back to the middle of your mat. From here, lifting your legs up, extending your left leg and pulling your right knee and getting a bit of tension, taking those fingertips lightly by your ears as you exhale, left elbow to the outside of your right knee. As you inhale, center, exhale, rotate. Good. So you know the crisscross if you've taken Pilates classes before. This is just the cherry on top. It doesn't necessarily take much resistance if you are with me on this. And as you probably know, higher up, lower down does change the quality of the exercise. Imagine there's a piece of fruit between your chin and your chest. You're never pulling on your neck. Another one I really like, and you could keep the band here on the feet, or maybe move it up to your knees is a nice modification. Ankles always makes it hard as well. Kind of a double leg extension. So as you exhale, elbows to knees. Inhale, extend the legs out, out, and in. 4 separate motions. Exhale, inhale. Yes? Exhale. C curve it in. Exhale, we'll do 2 more, and then I'm going to show you 1 more exercise. There are many more you could do. Out and release. I'll finish off with some plank taps. So finding your way onto your palms, you can keep your band on your knees or move it to your ankles. Modification is no equipment. Extra credit, you can put it on the arches of the feet, just as we did for the crisscross. So, and this can be done on or off the board, anything with the bands. Obviously, the things with the handles and the bungees need to be done onto the board itself. So, last but not least, fan those fingers, tuck your toes, engage your abs, look forward. Exhale, tap your right knee wider than the board. Inhale to center. Exhale, left knee. Inhale to center. Good. You can find tempo for this, right? You could keep it slow and deliberate. You could add leg extensions, alternating. You could pulse them. You could do a combination of things, right? Like a tap, tap, double pulse. Really, the sky is the limit. There's so many things you could do with this board and equipment that would help with core strengthening, fusion classes, Pilates classes, and many, many other activities as well. So I hope this was helpful. And that was my quick Pilates tutorial on what you can do with your Nouflex equipment. All right, I'm going to waddle on over and say goodbye. Bye-bye.